Hello and welcome. This conversation is presented by our YouTube channel, Audio Podcast. Today, we're diving into something, well, genuinely fascinating, I think. Something that might just challenge a lot of our sort of built-in assumptions about how we interact. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you felt you needed to speak up more, to fill a silence maybe, or perhaps you believe talking more would make you seem, I don't know, more intelligent, more confident, or command greater respect? It's a really common feeling.
Oh, it truly is. Yeah. We often equate constant talking with influence or authority. It's almost like a default setting, in so many situations, professional and personal.
Yeah.
But the insights we've been looking at, they suggest a really compelling counter-narrative.
Okay.
That the individuals who actually exert the greatest, the most lasting influence are often those who choose their words with exceptional care. People who really understand the profound power of restraint.
Restraint. Interesting. Yeah. So our goal in this discussion is really to uncover just how strategic silence and, deeply engaged listening and just thoughtful communication can truly reshape your interactions.
Okay. All right. Let's really get into this then. Our sources seem to suggest a complete shift, like you said, in how we perceive talking. We're sort of conditioned, aren't we, to think more speech equals more confidence, more smarts, that we have to fill every gap.
Right.
But what's the actual tangible advantage of, holding back? It feels fundamentally counterintuitive at first glance.
It absolutely does, and I think that's precisely why it's so powerful when you grasp it. Our analysis, especially looking at high-performing individuals, it consistently shows that those who observe first, then process, and then respond with intention, they invariably hold a distinct advantage.
Over the impulsive talkers.
Exactly, over those who just speak impulsively. Now, this isn't about being silent in a, withdrawn or passive way. It's about cultivating the discipline to speak with purpose.
Okay. Purposeful speech. Think of it like this. If you're constantly talking, you're often just reacting. You're likely missing crucial nonverbal cues. You become predictable. And you can easily lose control of where a conversation is going simply because you're too busy, broadcasting your own thoughts.
Right. You're not receiving, just transmitting. So it's not just about what you say, but the impact hinges heavily on when and how you say it.
Precisely.
I can see how words might lose their punch when they're just thrown around too freely. They just become like background noise.
Yeah, just chatter.
But if you really select your words carefully, they gain this weight, this gravitas that makes people actually lean in and pay attention. It's like scarcity driving up value.
That's a great analogy, precisely. We see this reflected in the psychological principle of scarcity, but applied to communication. When every sentence you utter is clearly a reflection of thoughtfulness and a considered perspective, people don't just hear you, they listen more intently.
Okay. Hear versus listen. Big difference.
Huge difference. They start to trust that your contributions carry actual weight. And let's face it, in a world saturated with chatter, this makes you truly stand out.
Right.
Not as someone just adding to the noise, but as someone adding genuine value.
Okay, here's where it gets particularly interesting for you listening in. Think about walking into a room. How many times have you encountered someone whose sheer presence sort of commanded attention even before they uttered a single word?
You know the type.
Exactly. Our materials suggest this kind of powerful, almost magnetic influence isn't about being the loudest person there. It stems directly from this art of restraint, this quiet power you mentioned.
That's it, exactly. True influence, as our sources consistently highlight, it really isn't about dominating a conversation or, being the most vocal participant.
Right.
It's about a deep understanding of when to speak and perhaps even more critically, when to remain silent.
Okay. The when not to?
Yes. When we consciously speak less, we inherently free ourselves up to listen more intently, to absorb the nuanced dynamics happening around us, and to understand others on a far deeper level than we otherwise could. This path leads to a more natural and, frankly, more profound form of influence.
Where people actually seek you out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where people seek out your perspective because they've learned to trust that you've processed the situation thoroughly. It's about building that reputation for insightful contributions rather than just frequent ones.
Right. Quality over quantity in speech. Makes sense. So if this strategic speaking less is so key, how do we actually gain more from it? It sounds like it requires a completely different kind of engagement, something beyond just not talking. Like
Yeah.
deep observation and active listening. It's not just being quiet, but being actively quiet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've hit it. It starts with cultivating what some call the observer's mind. And this goes far beyond just, passively watching people. It's about deeply understanding people by noticing the small, often completely overlooked details. Our sources on nonverbal communication are incredibly rich here.
Like what specifically?
Well, think about subtle shifts in tone of voice, specific body language cues like folded arms maybe, or leaning in, micro expressions that might just flash across someone's face for a split
What's
second,
leading, yeah.
or even hesitations and slightly longer pauses than usual. These things often reveal far more than the explicit words being spoken.
Can you give an example, like in a meeting?
Sure. Say during a team discussion, someone verbally agrees to take on a task, right? They say, yes, I can do that.
Okay.
But if you notice their eyes momentarily dart away just as they say it, or maybe their shoulders subtly tense up, that could signal an unstated reservation, maybe discomfort or uncertainty.
Okay. The words say yes, but the body says maybe not.
Exactly. It's picking up on that dissonance.
That's a powerful idea. It's like learning to read the subtext of a situation. You're potentially gaining insights into emotions, struggles, maybe desires that people aren't even consciously aware they're broadcasting. But how do we actually cultivate this observer's mind? I mean, our natural inclination often is to be formulating our next brilliant response while the other person is still talking.
That's the challenge, isn't it?
That's the
The essential element, I think, is to consciously embrace genuine curiosity.
curiosity. Okay.
Instead of entering conversations with a predetermined agenda or just waiting for your turn to jump in, try approaching them with an authentic desire to simply understand.
So less about pushing your point, more about pulling information.
Kind of, yeah. Ask open-ended questions. How questions, what's questions, tell me more questions.
Right.
And then truly listen.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to grasp the other person's perspective, not just to collect data points for your rebuttal.
Right.
For instance, maybe in a one-on-one, someone says, oh, I'm doing fine, but their vocal pitch seems a bit higher, or their pace is a little faster than normal.
Okay, you notice that inconsistency again.
Yeah. So a curious follow-up might be something gentle, like, you sound like you have a bit more energy than usual today. Anything exciting happening? Or maybe, is everything all right? Depending on the context.
I see. So you're probing gently based on the observation.
Exactly. And this kind of deep listening, it doesn't just reveal more about the speaker, it also gives you valuable time. Time to think before responding.
The processing time.
Yes, which ensures your communication is more thoughtful, empathetic, and truly purposeful. And here's the thing. When people feel genuinely heard and understood,
They trust you more.
precisely, it fosters trust. And trust, as we know, is the absolute bedrock of all true influence.
This brings us nicely to another really powerful tool you mentioned earlier, strategic silence. Now,
Yeah.
for many people, myself included sometimes, not speaking can feel like losing control or just awkward.
Oh, absolutely. It can feel very awkward at first.
But our sources repeatedly show it's a profound game changer. So beyond just creating space for thought, what does silence actually do in a conversation, especially maybe in a dynamic or even high-stakes one?
It serves multiple functions, actually, and mostly to your advantage if used well.
Mm.
Firstly, there's the psychological impact of pauses.
Mm-hmm.
Most people feel this inherent pressure, this urge to fill silence. It's uncomfortable for many. If you could resist that urge,
Hold the space.
yes, hold the space. The other person often feels compelled to elaborate, to say more, sometimes revealing valuable information or, underlying concerns they hadn't initially planned on sharing.
Interesting. So you're basically letting their discomfort work for you.
In a sense, yes. Our research on negotiation tactics, for example, consistently shows this. A well-timed, intentional pause right after someone makes an offer or states a demand.
Yeah.
It can often lead the other party to sweeten their proposal or maybe reveal their fallback position simply because they felt the pressure to break that silence first.
Wow. Okay, so you're not just creating thinking space, you're actively leveraging a bit of human nature, waiting for them to reveal more of their hand, as it were.
Precisely. And there's more. Beyond that information gathering aspect, strategic silence projects a distinct sense of authority.
How so?
Well, when you don't feel the need to constantly talk over others or rush to make your point, you convey thoughtfulness, deliberation, a kind of quiet control.
Right. You seem less reactive, more sensitive.
Exactly. People naturally start to listen more closely to you when you do speak, recognizing that your contributions aren't just noise, but they're considered insights. It signals that you are deliberate, not just reacting on impulse.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And beyond just controlling the conversational flow or gaining information, our sources also connect speaking less to something pretty much everyone wants, mental clarity.
Big one.
How does holding back words actually help you think faster and clearer? It almost sounds like a cognitive hack or something.
It is, in a way. The connection is actually quite direct. Think about it. The less we fill our mental landscape with unnecessary internal chatter or even external verbal output,
Right, the constant stream of words.
the more mental bandwidth we have available for clear thinking and ultimately more effective decision-making.
Okay, so it's about freeing up resources.
Exactly. Think of your brain's working memory as a limited resource. If it's constantly occupied with formulating the next response or anticipating arguments or even just rehashing what someone just said, there's simply less processing power available for deeper analysis, for recognizing patterns, or for creative problem solving. Studies in cognitive psychology really illustrate this, clearly reducing external distractions, and that includes your own excessive verbal output, frees up this crucial mental space.
So it's not just about decluttering your physical desk, but your mental desk too. Less input perhaps allows for more processing power, and maybe even faster, more precise thought.
Exactly that. Clarity often emerges from simplicity. It's like trying to navigate a cluttered room versus a clear one. When you filter out the noise, both external and internal, and focus on what truly matters, you create the mental environment needed for more precise and efficient thought.
Okay.
And when we talk about thinking faster here, it's really important to distinguish it's not about rushing your thoughts.
Right, not frantic thinking.
No, it's about thinking with greater purpose and, crucially, less cognitive overhead, less wasted effort. By listening first, genuinely processing what's been said, and then formulating a response, you create this powerful feedback loop. And that loop consistently enhances your ability to think both quickly and clearly. You're responding to the actual reality of the situation, not just your own internal monologue about it.
That distinction between rushing and thinking with purpose is, yeah, that's crucial. So pulling this together, it's not just about getting more information or achieving clearer thought. It's also fundamentally about how you're perceived by others.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Perception is key.
Our sources talk about a kind of quiet genius's vibe, and how less talk often correlates with greater success in commanding genuine respect. How does this quiet, intentional approach actually build real authority in a room?
Well, it builds authority primarily because people develop an expectation. An expectation that when you do speak, every sentence you utter is likely to be meaningful and intentional.
Because you're not wasting words.
Exactly. Your words automatically carry more weight. This makes you stand out significantly, especially in environments where everyone else might be clamoring for airtime.
Right.
In a world just awash with constant communication, choosing your words with such care implicitly signals, well, wisdom perhaps, and deep insight. People notice that.
And it's not passive, you said earlier.
No, definitely not. It's vital to understand that this quietness isn't passive withdrawal. It's a deliberate choice, a choice that actually creates space not just for you to think, but for others to think, to reflect, and to absorb.
So it benefits the whole conversation.
Yes. It can foster richer, more collaborative conversations where everyone feels their contributions are actually considered and valued. We see this consistently in leadership studies, too.
How so?
The most effective leaders, time and again, are those who listen intently, reflect carefully, and then act with intention. They understand that a well-timed silence often provides the clarity needed to make truly successful, impactful decisions. It's not about having all the answers immediately. It's about facilitating the process to get to the best answer.
I really appreciate that framing that quietness is an active, deliberate choice that serves the group, not just the individual. It's about impact, not just volume. But what about that initial impression? Simply walking into a room and owning it, projecting a powerful presence without needing to be loud or overtly assertive. Our material suggests presence is more powerful than sheer volume. How can you project that kind of quiet confidence, that magnetism that seems to draw people toward you?
That kind of profound confidence, the sort that really resonates, it seems to stem from a deep comfort in one's own silence.
Okay. Being okay with not talking.
Yes. And an unshakable, yet notably humble sense of certainty. Not arrogance, but certainty. When you are genuinely at peace with not always speaking or not feeling the need to be the loudest voice, your entire energy shifts. People pick up on that.
So it's an internal state radiating outward.
I believe so. Your nonverbal communication, your
Hmm.
composed body language, steady eye contact, your overall demeanor, it speaks volumes, often far more effectively than any words could.
Hmm.
If you maintain that composure, listen intently, and carry yourself with purpose, people will sense your presence. They often gravitate towards that more naturally than if you were constantly interjecting or trying to dominate the space verbally.
So it really comes from within, a conviction maybe that then sort of influences the room.
Precisely. True authority, as our findings consistently suggest, isn't about attempting to force people to respect you or demanding constant validation through words.
Right, you can't demand respect effectively.
No, it arises more organically from making people want to respect you. And this seems to be cultivated through consistent restraint, thoughtful contributions when you do speak, and an unwavering, composed demeanor, especially when things get tense or challenging.
Handling pressure gracefully.
Exactly.
Yep.
Consistency in your actions, how you respond under pressure, and even sometimes an appropriate, well-timed display of vulnerability. These can be incredibly powerful elements in earning respect and building deep, lasting trust.
Vulnerability too, that's interesting.
Yes, because it shows authenticity. People are profoundly drawn to individuals who are authentic and genuine and who don't feel that incessant need to constantly prove their worth through a barrage of words or posturing.
Wow. Okay. What an insightful discussion we've had here. We've really explored how a conscious decision to maybe step back a bit, to listen more intently, and to choose words with real precision can absolutely transform interactions. And not just interactions, but also sharpen mental clarity and significantly elevate influence. It's a truly, well, radical shift in perspective from what many of us are probably taught or assume.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this, I think, raises an important question for you, our listener, as you go about your own day. Think about just one conversation you anticipate having. Maybe later today, maybe tomorrow. Could be with a colleague, a friend, even a family member.
Sure. One conversation.
Yeah. And instead of mentally rehearsing what you're going to say next while they're talking, try focusing solely on observing and listening. Really just listen and notice. Notice what changes, what changes in your understanding of the situation or the person, and what changes in the overall dynamic of that exchange. Just try it as an experiment.
It's amazing what a single conscious choice like that can unlock, isn't it? A completely different approach to how we connect and interact.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the profound power of strategic restraint. It's given me a lot to think about.
Me too. Always does. Until next time, keep listening, keep observing, and maybe, just maybe, try speaking with a little more purpose.